Pokemon might look like a simple kids game on the surface, but have you ever wondered how much money trainers are throwing around inside of Kanto? Well, today I wanted to take a deeper look into some of the most expensive items that you can buy in Kanto. And then I'm going to convert those prices into real-world US dollars so I can figure out how much these items will cost in real life. You may be asking, why am I doing this? Because I'm a psycho and I've always wanted to buy like a Poké Ball or an Ultra Ball, so I wanted to just take a look. And huge spoiler alert, but the most expensive item in Kanto converted to real-world dollars is as much as my college tuition. Like, have you ever wondered how much an Ultra Ball, which costs 1,200 Poké Dollars, costs in real life? Probably not, but if you are interested, stick around, we'll get to the bottom of it. So, if you watched my previous video, we went over how Pokemarts are profitable. We created an exchange rate so we can convert all the Pokemon dollars into real-world United States dollars. And that's going to be super important for today's video, so I'm going to quickly refresh you on how we got that. So we're going to be using Pokemon FireRed. 1 United States dollar is equivalent to 148.91 Japanese yen, or Poké Dollars. Those two words are going to be interchangeable, yen and Poké Dollars. So, in other words, 148.91 Poké Dollars is equivalent to 1 United States dollar. And if you know anything about exchange rates, you know that this rate is constantly changing. So this is a great average for September of 2025. You could watch this video a year from now and that exchange rate is going to be much different, meaning these prices are going to be much different. I will leave a link in the description if you ever wanted to recalculate it yourself. Super simple, but just keep that in mind. Okay, so I want to do one quick example just so you guys can get the hang of it. So, for example, a potion. It costs 300 Poké Dollars. We can then go ahead and divide 300 Poké Dollars by the exchange rate of 148.91, and that comes out to a potion in real world dollars costs $2.01. So going forward, this is how we're going to do every single calculation. And coincidentally, the potion, which restores your partner's health points, is the same price as a Costco hot dog, which one could argue also restores some health points. So I want to break this down into tiers to make this easier for everyone to follow. We're going to be having 5 tiers, starting with the Pokeball tier, which is $0 to $2.50, and all of these are going to be in its United States dollar comparisons. The Great Ball tier, which is $2.51 to $5. We will have the Ultra Ball tier, which is $5.01 to $20. We will have the Full Restore tier, which is $20.01 all the way to $100. We have the Master Ball tier, which is $100 to $1,000. And finally, we will have our Shiny Charizard tier, which, yes, is over $1,000. So, kicking things off, I want to start with the Pocket Change tier. This is going to be your low-tier items that every Pokemon player knows and gets on early routes. I'm going to be showing how much it costs in United States dollars, since that's what the whole video is kind of surrounded by. Starting out, we have the Antidote, which is 67 cents. We have the Pokeball and the Paralyze Heal, which each come in at $1.34. We have some of the status heals, like the Burn Heal, Ice Heal, Awakening, coming in at $1.68. We have the Soda Pop from the vending machines coming in at $2.01. We have a potion, which we mentioned earlier, as $2.01. We have the lemonade at $2.35, and the Repel at $2.35 as well. Rounding out the chump change tier, we have a couple of X items, the cheap X items. We have X Speed and X Special. Both of these clocking in at $2.35, much like the potion and the lemonade. So this is the chump change tier. It's pretty cool to see that if you wanted to buy some Pokeballs, all you would need is $1.34, which is kind of cool. Another item to add to this list is the Retro Mail that you can purchase at some Pokemarts. This is 50 Poké Dollars, which comes out to a whopping 34 cents for the mail. So technically, 34 cents for the Poké Mail is the cheapest item in the entire game. Another interesting note, In your battle against your first trainer on Route 1, you get approximately $1.50 for the win, which for a 10-year-old kid exchanging about $1.50, that kind of makes sense. Something else we will come to learn is that, for the most part, Kanto has really good prices, especially for Pokemon trainers going on their journey. The prices are really good. Well, besides like 3 items, the prices are pretty good, but we'll get into those absurd items a little bit later. So, continuing on with the list, we have our Great Ball tier. Starting off this tier, we have the Super Repel, which comes out to $3.36. We have our X Attack, which is $3.36. The Escape Rope, which is $3.69. Nice. X Defense, which is $3.69. And the Great Ball, which is the tier, comes out to be $4.03, which, not bad. And then we have the Max Repel, the Super Potion, and the Guard Spec, all coming in at $4.70. Like I said in the bottom tiers, looking at these items and the prices in a vacuum, the prices are really good. But when you kind of take a look at how many of each item you actually need to buy, it kind of starts to add up. For example, no one just buys one Great Ball. You're going to buy 10, 20 at a time. Buying 10 Great Balls at a time actually comes out to $40.29. And if you want to get 20, you obviously double that. That comes out to $80.56 for Great Balls. Like, $80 is a lot for a 10-year-old kid. At the start of the game, our mom doesn't even give us that much money. Next, we have the Ultra Ball tier. And in this tier, we start to see more usable items late game. So this is going to be like your Ultra Ball, some of the better potions. So this is the majority of items that you're going to be using in a full Pokemon run. And one more thing in this tier, I know what you're thinking, $5, $6, $7 doesn't sound like a whole lot, but when you think about how many of these items you need, this really starts to add up. So starting this tier off, we have the X Accuracy, which is $6.38. We have the Pokédoll and the TM Roar coming in at $6.72. We have the Ultra Ball, which we mentioned earlier in the video. An Ultra Ball actually comes out to $8.06. And like I said, that's just for one Ultra Ball, so that can get kind of out of hand. The same price as an Ultra Ball is the Hyper Potion, which comes out to $8.06. We have a Revive, which is very important if you're not close to a Poké Station. That comes out to $10.07. And then we have all of the Evolution Stones, the Fire Stone, Leaf Stone, Water Stone, all that good stuff, coming in at $14.19, which compared to some of the other items, I feel like is really good priced. The fact you can evolve one of your Pokemon for $14.19. You could go from Eevee to Vaporeon. That is absolutely a steal. And rounding out the category is the Max Potion, which comes out to $16.79. So the best potion is $16.79. Like I said, that can add up, but it's not horrible. Next, we have the Full Restore tier. For this tier, we start getting into some of the Games Corner items, which is effectively the casino in the Pokemon universe. At first, I wasn't going to include the Pokemon Casino, but the fact that you can purchase chips with Pokédollars technically means that you can buy all of the prizes with Pokédollars. So one Pokemon chip from the casino is equivalent to 20 Pokédollars. For example, Abra, which you can purchase as one of the prizes, is 180 Poké chips. Converting that into Pokédollars, Abra costs 3,600 Pokédollars. And in a second, we will convert that into United States, but that's how we're going to do the Games Corner prizes. So starting off with this tier, as the tier is named, we have the Full Restore, which is $20.15. Next, we have some of the TMs. We have Brick Break, Secret Power, Attract, all of these clocking in at $20.15. And similarly to the Evolution Stones, I feel like this is fantastic value. For 20 bucks, being able to teach your Pokemon a great move like Brick Break is pretty good. Next, we have Hyper Beam, which is every kid's favorite move because it does a billion damage. Comes out to $50.36. We have all of the vitamins, so the HP up, the carbos, the calcium, protein, iron. This is clocking in at $65.81 per vitamin. And rounding out the tier, we have Clefairy, which you can purchase from the games corner, which comes out to $67.15. The fact that you can turn your Snorlax into a walking nuke with Hyper Beam for only 50 bucks, that's outrageous. That's an absolute steal. Something else I wanted to mention, as it kind of falls into this tier, when we're leaving for our big journey, our mom gives us about 3,000 Poké Dollars. And as a kid, I was like, holy cow, we are loaded. We have $3,000 to take on the Pokemon world. But as I got older and I'm doing this video now, she only gives us about $20.15 to effectively go live on our own. And I don't know about you, good thing I'm not a parent, but that kind of seems like child abuse, letting your kid just go out on an adventure with 20 bucks to their name. They're effectively homeless, so... And as we mentioned earlier, you're effectively surviving off your mom's $20 and battling other kids just for money. Yikes. In this next tier, we start to get to some really good items, but they also come in at a very expensive price. This tier is from $100 to $1,000. Starting this tier, we have Dratini, which evolves into the uber awesome Dragonite, coming in at $376.07. And next we have a bunch of some of the best TMs in the game that are only available at the games corner. We have Iron Tail, which is $470.08. We have Ice Beam, Thunderbolt, Flamethrower, easily some of the best moves, coming in at $537.24. We have Shadow Ball, arguably the best ghost move, coming in at $604.39. And finally for this tier, depending on which version of the game you have, we have Scyther or Pinsir, coming in at $738.70. Like I said, I know that these are some of the best TMs in the game, and Charizard with Flamethrower is absolutely lethal, but this is starting to get ultra pricey. $600 to effectively teach your Pokemon a move is kind of crazy. And finally, this is what everyone's been waiting for, the uber expensive items within Pokemon. This tier alone costs more than some people's house payments, college tuitions. It's absolutely ridiculous. So starting us out, we have Porygon from the games corner. Porygon is going to come in at $1,336.24. I could maybe justify you spending that much if you were getting a legendary. Let's say you were getting Rayquaza or Groudon. Maybe it's going to be worth that, but for a Porygon, that is so expensive. Next, this may be cheating, but I have to get a fully IV'd Pokemon using vitamins. It's going to cost $3,356.31. So buying enough steroids to have one of your Pokemon be at its absolute limit is really expensive. And this is just for one Pokemon. To be able to get a fully maxed out IV Pokemon, you need 51 vitamins. A single vitamin, as we mentioned earlier, is $9,800, and you need 51 of these. It's absolutely insane to be able to get your Pokemon to its max. And if you know anything about Pokemon, you don't just have one Pokemon, you have 6 of them. So if you want a full team of steroided out Ultra Beast Pokemon, you need 51 vitamins per Pokemon. Getting an entire team of the best is going to come out to $20,137.86. If you wanted to be a competitive Pokemon player, it's going to cost a fortune just so you can have the best of the best. Absolutely ridiculous, but also at the same time, it's the core mechanic around Pokemon, making your Pokemon as strong as possible. So if anything's going to be this expensive, it makes sense that the steroids of the Pokemon universe are this expensive. Now, the next item, the true king in expensive items in the Pokemon universe. You're probably thinking, Master Ball, oh, maybe you can buy Mewtwo. No, it's neither of those things. It's much more bizarre than that. The most expensive item in the Pokemon universe, in Kanto, is the bike. Yes, the bicycle. The bicycle comes in at $6,715.47. In the Pokemon universe, this clocks in at 1 million Pokédollars. And funnily enough, the Pokemon trainer's wallet only goes up to $999,999. So you can't even buy this uber expensive item. And the only way for a trainer to get this item is either by having $1 million, which obviously we can't get, or by finding the bike voucher. And it's kind of bizarre that the only people that can have a bike in all of Kanto are trainers that are lucky enough to find a bike voucher, or the uber rich, the top 1% that can buy a bike for 1 million Pokédollars. In all, for the most part, the Pokemon world has really good priced items, except for a couple that are just absolutely insane and ridiculous. But the big catch in the Pokemon world isn't necessarily that a Ultra Ball costs about $8. It really comes down to how many items trainers have to buy in the Pokemon universe. Like I said, you're never just gonna buy one Ultra Ball or one full heal. You're gonna buy in bulk, so these prices really add up. 20 Ultra Balls are gonna be your salary for the entire week. So there you have it, the official Kanto shopping tier list. Everything from 34-cent mail to a bike that can absolutely bankrupt you. Which of these items that we mentioned would you actually buy in real life if they existed? Drop a comment, let me know. I would love to hear what you guys think of this. And if you enjoyed this breakdown, I have more economic breakdowns in Pokemon and in other games, and I will be doing a ton more. So if you're a psycho like me and you like this little niche, stick around. I'm going to make more and watch some of my other videos. Thank you.